For over the past 20 years, the Mitsubishi Outlander has been a very important model within Mitsubishi's US portfolio. In fact, about a year and a half ago, when Mitsubishi introduced an all-new version of this vehicle in its fourth generation, they essentially wanted to give the brand a fresh start, of course, with Nissan backing them, because as you guys know, the new Nissan Rogue and the Outlander continue to share a platform, which is why the current generation Outlander has been such a huge success. In fact, last year, the company moved nearly 41,000 units here in America, which makes this car the best-selling vehicle in Mitsubishi's portfolio. Now, this week, as you can see, we are driving a model that I've been waiting to get my hands on because this is the all-new version of the Outlander with the company's plug-in hybrid powertrain, which got huge updates this year in terms of a much larger battery pack with nearly 40 miles of electric-only range, and with standard all-wheel drive, a standard third-row seat, and more horsepower, about 70 more horsepower versus the base engine that you get in the non-plug-in hybrid. It certainly makes the new Outlander a lot more appealing. So as you can see, this week we are finally driving the Outlander plug-in hybrid, and the big question I would answer, if you're looking for a mainstream, more affordable three-row plug-in hybrid SUV that also has styling that really stands out, how does the all-new 2023 Outlander PHEV stack up? Stay tuned to find out. Now, before we start talking about the styling changes for the plug-in hybrid model, I want to show you guys what's underneath the hood. Now, like I said earlier, Mitsubishi also offers a base 2.5-liter engine that's technically a Nissan powertrain. However, under the hood of this Outlander, you're going to find an all Mitsubishi-derived powertrain. Now, as you can see underneath the hood, there is no frunk storage because remember, this is a plug-in hybrid vehicle. But what Mitsubishi has done is they've really upgraded the electric motor componentry and the battery pack. So this pairs a 2.4-liter MyVec Mitsubishi-sourced four-cylinder that runs on the Atkinson cycle. MyVec stands for their variable valve timing technology. The engine on its own makes a paltry 133 horsepower and 144 pound-feet of torque. However, this also has 3 electric motors helping it. So there's 2 electric motors at the front and a separate third electric motor at the rear, giving this thing standard all-wheel drive. Mitsubishi says the electric motor can supply an additional 170 to 204 horsepower on its own. The combined output figures is a rather impressive 248 horsepower and 332 pound-feet of torque. Now, if you're keeping score of the competition, this technically has less horsepower, combined horsepower, than the RAV4 Prime and the Kia Sorento plug-in hybrid. However, it does have more torque, I believe, at 332 pound-feet. The transmission is also interesting. I wanted to say it's an eCVT, but Mitsubishi says it's got a single-speed reduction gear transmission on both the front and the rear axles, which kind of makes sense. They prioritize EV driving in this vehicle. They say that the gas engine, really what it does when it comes on is it supplies power to recharge the battery, which then applies power to the drive wheels, or all 4 wheels. At times, the gas engine can directly power the drive wheels, but only during certain conditions. Mitsubishi says, again, they wanted to give this car a more of an electric car feel. The big news, of course, is the battery pack. It now is rated at 20 kilowatt hours. That's a huge upgrade, and it's also larger than the battery pack that you get in the Kia and the Toyota hybrid, which is good for up to 38 miles of electric-only range. The downside, if you guys don't plug this vehicle in and drive it in electric only, it is only going to get around 25, 27 mpg, about 26 combined. That's 10 mpg less than something like the RAV4 Prime. So Mitsubishi needs to work on the hybrid efficiency of its gas engine, I think. It needs to be better. They did increase the gas tank to around 16 gallons, so you can do about 420 miles on a full tank, plus the 38 miles of electric-only range. Mitsubishi doesn't quote a 0 to 60 performance, but this is about 70 more horsepower and 150 more pound-feet of torque versus the base engine, so we'll put it through our usual battery of tests. We'll see how it does in the real world. This vehicle does tow. It's rated to tow a maximum of 1,500 pounds, and as this car sits, it weighs in around 4,700 pounds, which is about 900 pounds heavier than the non-plug-in hybrid model. Now, closing the hood, let's go ahead and talk about the exterior styling. Now, the Outlander PHEV only is available in ES, SE, and SEL, and then there's also a 40th anniversary. This model here is the SEL with the premium package painted in white diamond. You can see it has the same styling as the regular version that I tested about a year and a half ago. Remember, this is built off of a Nissan Rogue, Nissan X-Trail platform underneath, but of course with Mitsubishi styling elements. You can see it spells out boldly Outlander at the front. You have the corporate Mitsubishi grille with their radar sensor for the adaptive cruise control. control, technically it's a Nissan Tech in terms of the adaptive cruise and the driver assistance. You can see there's LED daytime running lights, LED turn signals. You have LED low and high beams down here where it's a reflector style, and then the upper trims will give you LED fog lights. Overall, it's still a really attractive design for me. It kind of mixes some elements of a Land Rover, Range Rover, for example, with some of the traditional Mitsubishi elements. I think it's a really good looking vehicle, especially when you get it in the right color combination. You can see the front area here is silver painted, where it tries to make it look a little bit more rugged, a little bit more like an off-road oriented type vehicle, although this is continuing to be based off of a car-based architecture. Now moving around the side profile, you can see it looks practically the same as the non-plug-in hybrid. It even has the same wheels. It's a bigger vehicle versus most of its competitors, 185.9 inches long. It's about 5 inches longer than its competitors. It has a wheelbase of 106.5 inches long, although this is only about an inch bigger versus the prior generation, but I do like the boxy shape. This car also has around 7.8 inches of ground clearance, and if you guys go for the SE trims and up, you'll have a 20-inch wheel wrapped in a 255/45 R20 tire. So this is the same wheel and tire setup that you get on the base version, on the gas-powered version only, and you have a 13.8-inch brake disc, so you have a nearly 14-inch rotor with a single piston floating caliper. It's around a 13-inch rotor in the back, all disc brakes, like I said, all independent suspension. You can see the body or the wheel archers are unpainted gray. The one thing I don't like about this car, and I think it's Mitsubishi trying too hard, this badge here. You also find the same badge on the other side there where it says EV in large script, but then it also says plug-in hybrid, which you can't really see from afar. I think that's simply trying too hard. Mitsubishi should have just removed the badge. I imagine some owners may end up debadging the car. I think a more subtle badge at the rear would have been better, which it technically has. You can see side mirrors are electrically folding. You have integrated turn signals. My tester, of course, you can tell it's a premium package because it has the two-tone color. So you have a panoramic roof with the black roof. This is only available if you guys go for the SEL Premium, and you can also get a 40th anniversary package that also has a bronze roof. But you can see, looking from this angle, I really love the profile of this car. Boxy, square, masculine, rugged. It definitely also looks longer versus some competitors, which is why this car comes standard with that third row seat. You can see on the other side is the fuel door. On this side, you'll find the port for the charge port. So you can see you push that in and it will pop open for you. Now, what's interesting about the Outlander PHEV is this car actually has DC fast charging. Now, at the time when this car first came out, it was the only PHEV with DC fast charging. You could see, however, it's a CHAdeMO plug, which is the older plug, which is being phased out, and it can accept up to 50 kilowatts. And Mitsubishi says on a 50 kilowatt CHAdeMO charger, you can go from 10 to 80% in about 38 minutes, which is honestly quick, although remember, this is not a full EV. It has a 20 kilowatt hour battery pack, so it's small. It's good that they offer this because the downside is when you plug it into a J1772, this only has a 3.3 kilowatt onboard charger, which means it's gonna take about 6.5 hours to charge this thing on a level 2, which is slow. I'm surprised Mitsubishi didn't upgrade this to a 6.6 or 7 kilowatt hour charger. Most plug-in hybrids on a level 2 can do the charge in under 4 hours. The Toyota will do it in about 2.5 hours. Same thing with like a Jeep Grand Cherokee, it'll do it in about 2.5, 3 hours. So it would be nice if they upgraded that. You can also plug this into a level 1, which should take about 12 hours. That's what most people are going to do anyways. But again, I'm surprised that the level 2 option isn't faster. So that's something that I hope Mitsubishi will upgrade. But looking at the rear of the vehicle, you can see the back end styling is basically the same as the non-plug-in hybrid. I really like the way the taillights look, where you have an LED combination, you have incandescent for the turn signals. There is a big PHEV badge here on the back, which I think that one is fine. The one on the side, I think is just too much. And then there's a sticker here on the back that shows Super All-Wheel Control. That's Mitsubishi's terms for their all-wheel drive system. But overall, the back is very clean. There's no visible exhaust tips. The rear trim piece here on the bumper tries to make it look like an exhaust tip. Now, opening up the cargo area, this is one of the few vehicles that offers 3 rows of seating and a plug-in hybrid aspect. Now you can see there is the third row. It's essentially a jump seat, and as you can see there's no space for your legs. So Mitsubishi doesn't even tell us what the legroom figures are because there isn't any space. Now you can move that second row seat up to give you more legroom, but in terms of cargo space, I don't have the figure back here when the third row is up, but what you can do is you can fold down the third row, which I gotta take out the charge cable. This is the charge cable that comes with the car. That's a mobile charger. And to fold this down, you essentially pull that, you pull this, and then while you're pulling that, let me see if I can try to do this with one hand, or with the camera as well. You have to grab this right here, which, as you can see, it's a little bit finicky. So I think you actually have to pull this and then pull number 4. There you go. So pull number 4, and that, when you do that, you can see this actually neatly folds into the floor, which is nice. And this is where you're gonna get around 30 cubic feet of cargo space, which is definitely a good number. It makes it among the best in the segment. If you fold down the second row, this will expand it out to around 65 cubic feet of space, which again makes it around the best in the segment. And that's because this car is bigger than some competitors, although the Kia Sorento technically has a little bit more space because it's still about 5 inches larger versus this vehicle. So now let's go ahead and talk about the interior of the Mitsubishi Outlander PHEV. Now the first thing I want to show you guys, here is the keyless access fob that you get with this vehicle. You can see even though this shares a platform with the Nissan Rogue, the key has its own unique design to it. Now I can tell these buttons are from a Nissan vehicle. There's usual lock, unlock, remote trunk release, and panic. There's no remote start from the fob, but you can see the design is uniquely Mitsubishi, which is kind of nice. I like how Mitsubishi, can change a couple of elements here to kind of make you think this is not a Rogue underneath. Now you can see there's a button on the door handle. Touch that button, you can see the mirrors fold in electrically and the vehicle locks for you. There's no sensor on the back of the handle. You touch the button again and that will unlock the door for you. Now looking at the interior, you can see this SEL with the premium package has the upgraded semi-aniline real leather interior. You can see it's got the diamond quilted stitching. It also has contrasting orange stitching with some more saddle orange that you're gonna find splashed throughout the cabin. This is the only interior color that you can get with the premium package, so kind of keep that in mind. If you guys step it down to the SEL trim without the premium package, Mitsubishi also offers a black and a gray interior, which I also like, but this color combination looks really nice. I like the two-tone look to it. You can see the door panel has nice soft touch materials with more diamond stitching. You have fake carbon fiber trim, aluminum accented door handles. The seats, they adjust, I believe, in 12 different ways, and they also offer, check this out guys, a massage feature where it is technically a lumbar massage, but it's a little bit better versus what I've seen in some other cheaper models, like from Buick, for example, that have the massage, which really don't do anything. But there's 3 different levels of massage. You have 2-person memory seats. These are heated seats and a heated steering wheel, but no ventilated seats. I would actually trade the massage function for ventilated seats, so I hope Mitsubishi eventually adds that for the next generation or whatever. This seat, you can see, it's actually the same seat frame as a Nissan Rogue, but Mitsubishi did the padding and the look of the seat, so that's what kind of gives it a unique look to it, along with the steering wheel, which is a Mitsubishi steering wheel. Now with just under 8 inches of ground clearance, you can see stepping in is nice. You have a nice easy step-in height when you get in and shut the door. The door has a nice solid sounding thunk, and then you can see here, this model being the high trim comes with the larger 9-inch display. This is a Mitsubishi Connect display, although it's technically Nissan Connect, it's the Nissan software. And all the plugins come with the full 12.3-inch digital cluster. So you can see the start stop button is right here. Push that, you can hear it has its own unique chime along with the Mitsubishi graphics, although the software, you can see that is clearly the Nissan screens, which is a good thing. I really like the way Nissan is doing their infotainment software and their instrument panel software, where that screen is customizable. You can see it includes wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. My phone already wirelessly connected, although some competitors are going to larger screens. Even the RAV now has a 10.3-inch display. Kia does a 12-inch display. So it'd be nice to see Mitsubishi and Nissan upgrade their displays to go to a 12-inch as well. They have that in other models. The materials, you can see soft touch injection molded plastic on the upper portion, real leather stitching here on this lower portion. It's padded down here, which also looks really good. The steering wheel has a manual tilt and telescoping adjustment, which offers a good amount of adjustability and range. You have paddles on the wheel, which technically control the regen braking, I believe. You also have your typical controls here, which again, those are Nissan controls for the audio, for the driver assistance. The horn sadly sounds very puny. I don't love the way the horn sounds, but you can see there, you can change the view of this screen to go to several different sources and whatnot. You can also push this button here, which will change the view to go to this interesting, more futuristic view where you have a larger center display, which is great if you want to show like your average fuel economy, for example, or if you want to show where the power is coming from. You can see there's your EV battery status as well, how much charge it has and whatnot. So this is all really good looking. I like how it's standard. You also get a heads-up display included on this premium model, which definitely, gives it that higher tech feel. And then over here on the center stack, you can see you've got dual zone climate control. You have your heated seat control here, your heated steering wheel, heated seat controls. But you can see empty buttons here where you could put ventilated seats. So I would really like to see Mitsubishi and Nissan add that. Put the vehicle into reverse. You can see there's your full top-down 360 camera with moving object detection. That's rear cross traffic alert. The graphics are fine. You have front and rear trajectory, which is nice. Again, so the tech in this car is surprisingly good. You also can go back to the Mitsubishi screen here, which is, you can see Also includes embedded GPS, which is also fine. Most of you are going to use the CarPlay function anyways, so kind of keep that in mind. Most of you are just going to go to that, and that looks really nice. So really like how that looks. I just wish the screen was a little bit larger. The rearview mirror you can see is auto dimming, but they don't offer a digital camera rearview mirror, at least not that I know of. Down here you can see wireless phone charging pad. You have 2 USB charging ports, some interesting aluminum trim, although I don't know if it's genuine aluminum. There's some stitching over here, which is nice. Piano black plastic trim, and then you can see, push this button, you can go to several different EV modes where there's an EV normal, save, charge, and a full electric mode. That'll, change that. And then there's also another drive mode selector here that offers 7 different modes.
After onto Pennsylvania State Route 1018.
Thank you. How do I cancel this? There we go. Hold on. So sorry guys, I was interrupted briefly. You can see there are 7 different drive modes here. There's a normal, there's an eco, a power mode, and then there's also a tarmac, gravel, snow, and mud mode. So again, Mitsubishi really likes to show off their off-road credentials and whatnot. So most of you are going to probably cycle between these different modes here. The power mode's what's going to unlock the most horsepower, all 248 and 332 pound-feet of torque. Now you can see here, there's actually a heated windshield, which is definitely nice. The material quality in here is also pretty good. Cup holders and whatnot. You have padded center console area here with a somewhat narrow storage bin, or it's not quite as deep. It's a little bit shallow. The seats are relatively comfortable and supportive, and the massage function works pretty well. So if I want to go to the massage here, I can push that button, or I can go into the settings here and go to seat controls and lumbar massage settings. So you can see here, there's several different intensities. There's refreshing. So first I have to turn it on, refreshing, relaxing, and then lumbar. So 3 different types and 5 different intensities and 5 different speeds. So it's nice that Mitsubishi gives you that, but I'd rather honestly have ventilated seats anyways. The Bose stereo, you can see, is a 9-speaker Bose audio system, which sounds okay. It's not the best that I've heard in the segment, but it's nice that Mitsubishi has that. You have a little bit of ambient lighting on the door panel there, along with in the footwells and in the center console here, but no interchangeable color lighting. You can see there's map lights in here, but it's not LED. You have that panoramic roof, which does allow you to open it up. It basically will slide open only over the front seats, which is nice. It gives you a little bit more light. You can open it up completely there, but again, it's only over the front seats, or you can close that manual shade, which is good if you don't want to have the sun beating down on you. But overall, the front seat area is basically the same as the non-hybrid version, but they did add the massaging seats, which is nice, but I still want Mitsubishi to add cooled seats, but you have a nice visibility, and it also feels relatively comfortable in here as well. But let me hop into the second row seat of this vehicle, because as you can see, the second row, which they do not offer captain's chairs. Remember, this seat's up to 7, but in a pinch. I also wanted to show you guys, that's what the seat slid forward, which is gonna give me enough space in the back to actually show you that there's room back there, because without it, there's literally no space for your legs. Mitsubishi says there's 38 inches of leg room back here. You can see you have the same nice look to the seats with the diamond quilted stitching. You can also fold the seats down, or you can also recline the seat a little bit if you'd like via this little lever at the top here. No lever at the bottom. The sliding mechanism is this little thing right there. And then you can see the door panel has the same soft touch materials with the diamond quilted stitching. There are retractable sunshades on both sides, although I noticed when I was driving this vehicle, there's a rattle that comes from this door from this sunshade. So don't love the sound of that. It may just be my specific tester, but getting back here, you can see the space is actually pretty good. You can see at 38 inches, I can get back here, get pretty comfortable. This is with the slid all the way back. With it slid this much to give me space. In the third row, you can see there's not much leg room back here, but this is what you're gonna have to do if you wanna actually put adults or people in the third row. You do have rear seat air vents. You have 3-level heated seats. It's technically a 3-zone climate control, so I apologize for saying it's a dual zone, but you have 2 storage cubbies. You also have storage cubbies here where you can put your smartphone, which is nice. And you can see here, this is going to intrude a little bit on headroom space. You can see I'm 5'7" and my head comes pretty close to that. So keep that in mind. If you guys don't want or want more headroom space for the second row, you might have to give up getting the pano roof. But you can see this offers a good amount of space. There's not a flat floor here, although it's almost flat, so you can actually fit 3 across. But let's hop into the third row here, because I want to show you guys, what the space is like. I'll go through the misery of getting back here. Now you can see with it all the way back, that's the leg room. As you can see, there's no leg room. Slide this forward, you can see this third row also basically looks like a pair of jump seats, but also I want you to notice this is a very narrow opening. So getting back here is not easy, unfortunately. Oh, and then you can see the headrests. When you have them down, they look a certain way because when they're up, when they're all the way down like this, they're not going to provide any head restraints. But fold them up like that. That's where you're gonna get some space. There's also this weird like plastic ridge there that makes it less comfortable. You can see, whew, getting back here. Again, this is with that seat slid forward. It's technically still not enough room for me. Yeah, this is not enough room. I would have to ask them to slide this forward even more. There is still surprisingly cup holders back here, but no USB charging ports. In terms of headroom space also, it's not good. You can see I'm 5'7", and my head is hitting the ceiling, so I have to kind of go like this. If I try to sit back, I'd have to like lean back, but then I've got my legs like literally slammed into this seat. So yeah, the Kia Sportage Hybrid or Sorento Hybrid is the one you want to get if you actually need to carry people in the third row. This is an emergency third row, and it's literally for small children or for adults that you want to torture back here, because this is definitely probably one of the tightest third rows that I've ever sat in a modern car. So here we are back in the new Mitsubishi Outlander. I've been waiting actually a while to drive the plug-in hybrid version. When I drove the gas model nearly 2 years ago, I was relatively impressed with it. I just wasn't in love with the Nissan-sourced powertrain. Of course, the PHEV model is designed to fix that. Now, I'm going to start things off a little differently because I'm starting off the vehicle with essentially a full charge. It's showing 34 miles right now. When I first started off this drive, it was showing about 38 with the climate control on, 43 if I turned off the heat. It's about 50 degrees outside right now. So in my actual testing, I was getting around 35 to 38-ish miles on a full charge in EV only mode. However, we're gonna usually we usually start this driving program or the drive scene with a 0 to 60 test in plug-in hybrids when we have it in hybrid mode where we're trying to get maximum acceleration. However, the Mitsubishi Outlander PHEV, I noticed when the gas engine does turn on, it's difficult to get it to turn back off to just be in electric only mode. So we're gonna try out the 0 to 60 first with it in full EV mode. And remember, unlike something like the Kia Sorento plug-in hybrid, this electric motor system offers between 174 to 200 horsepower on its own. So theoretically, you should be able to get to 60 on its own in pure EV mode, especially when you have enough charge in the battery pack. There is a click point at the end of the accelerator that will wake up the gas engine, and I also cannot there's 7 different drive modes. I can't put it in power mode because that'll lock out EV mode automatically in terms of software program. So we're gonna do it in normal mode with the vehicle EV here in EV only, because I put into power, it will lock it out of that. But let's go ahead and try out, see what we can get 0 to 60 wise. Now I haven't done it yet, so this is gonna be my first try doing it. So let's go ahead and see what we can get here. I'm just not gonna brake torque, I'm just gonna floor it, but not go past the click point. And it feels a lot like an electric car, and it also has these really interesting noises that you hear from the electric motor. It feels quick initially, but then it starts to lose ground as I really put my foot down here. So 11.45 seconds in pure EV mode in normal settings. So that time is perfectly acceptable. It is still about 2 seconds slower versus what I got in a Toyota RAV4 Prime. However, you can't even get to 60 in pure EV mode in a Sorento plug-in hybrid. So Hyundai and Kia need to seriously upgrade their plug-in hybrid system to give us that better acceleration that people demand in EV mode. This Mitsubishi upgraded in terms of the electric motor, in terms of the battery pack. So in day-to-day driving, when you're driving it as an EV, it feels more like an electric car, and it also feels more like a rear drive biased electric car. So that's kind of nice. Remember, Mitsubishi does their super all-wheel control to showcase that. But overall, it definitely feels really good. If I put my foot down again here, this is where I am definitely noticing. Put your foot down at higher speeds, you can feel the torque, but then it just kind of loses ground, which is interesting. But the car feels like it has characteristics of an electric car. The instantaneous shove that you get, it just kind of tapers off really quickly. This car also has what Mitsubishi calls their innovation pedal. So I turned that on, which you have to turn on every time you get into the car and you turn it on and off. It gives you up to 0.3 Gs of regen braking, which is pretty close to one pedal drive. However, what I notice is at around 8 miles an hour, the system will almost let go and you have to manually stop on your own, which I kind of think is annoying. Like, I think every manufacturer should just have it where their one pedal drive will bring you down to a full stop. It's going to confuse a lot of people who aren't used to driving EVs like I am. You might even have people accidentally, rear end somebody because they thought the car was going to stop. Especially if they're used to driving a different electric car, they get into something like this. It's just kind of, I think, a little bit problematic. But in terms of driving in an EV mode, in this mode here, you can feel initially this car has good takeoff, but after a little bit, it feels a little bit slow. But I think most people are going to like it in pure EV mode. But let's go ahead and switch it over to power mode. Now, when I switched it to power, you can see EV mode priority mode has been canceled. And this also pretty much wakes up the engine already. Now, the gas engine on this car is interesting because what it does is it essentially sends power to the battery pack, and then the electric motor provides the drive force. Now, the gas engine can connect to the front wheels if it needs to provide maximum power, but this is where you get the full 248 horsepower, so you want to be in this mode to get that. And then in terms of the EV mode here, it's going to be in just normal, I guess, or because I can't go to EV, it's kind of blocked out. But we'll try out a 0 to 60 test here because Mitsubishi doesn't quote a 0 to 60 test when you're in hybrid mode. But in this mode, you can really hear the engine comes on, but you can also hear the electric motor making the noise. So it's really weird to see or to hear and feel that those two different power sources coming in. But overall, it definitely feels a lot faster. This is where you're also going to get 332 pound-feet of torque. So that torque figure is what people want to feel when they're driving a vehicle like this, especially when you're carrying all that extra weight. But let's go ahead and just try the run here. We'll brake torque it. Weird noises. Definitely feels faster. 6.59 seconds. So impressive. That cuts the 0 to 60 time roughly in half because, again, we're getting the extra power and the extra torque. What's interesting is it doesn't really feel that much faster than in EV mode. Like when I was driving it in EV mode, when I first do the tip in, it feels pretty quick. What feels a lot faster is when you put your foot down and you're holding it there. That's where you're getting the full power, and it definitely accelerates with authority. And the sound of the car is interesting because you hear the Mitsubishi sourced engine droning in the background, like it almost has a CVT, but then you also hear the electric motor whirring noise. It's a really weird hodgepodge mix of the two, which I've never really heard because in the RAV4 Prime, you don't hear that noise. In the Kia Sorento plug-in, you also don't hear that noise. You hear traditional gear changes. So, and then what you also feel is the instantaneous shove of the electric motor, and then you hear the engine kind of come online where it revs. Now, there is no tach in this car. The instrument panel looks really strange itself as it kind of whirs around. You can see it twirls around. Now, I can change the view to go to a more traditional view. This is where you can kind of see better how it's showing the engine RPMs, not even in RPMs, in kilowatts. So it's kind of something you have to get used to, but in this view here, you can kind of see a little bit better, where the power is coming from. So right now, it's regen braking, it's going to the battery pack, put my foot down. You can see the engine transfers power to the battery, which then transfers power to the front wheels, or to all four wheels, which, again, it doesn't power the front wheels directly. It can when you're demanding maximum acceleration in certain conditions. The computer can tell the gas engine to go ahead and supply power directly to the front wheels, but in its default setting, it won't do that. Instead, it wants you to kind of send power to the battery first and then give it back to the battery pack versus directly to the front wheels. But let's go ahead and see one more time here, 0 to 60 wise. Brake torque it. No wheel spin, which is kind of nice, but again, waiting for the power to ramp up. It feels quick, 6.65 there, so this is more slightly uphill, but I wasn't expecting 6.5 seconds, so this beats the time that I got in the Sorento plug-in, which I got 7.1, but it's not quite as quick as the RAV4 Prime. That'll do it in 5.8 seconds, so I think this is a good middle ground, and it's also about 2 seconds faster 0 to 60 wise versus the base Outlander, which I tested with the Nissan engine, which did it in around 8.6 seconds. So 0 to 60 times are fine, but that's not always the purpose of a vehicle like this. The handling of the Outlander is definitely more on the softer end. In power mode here, you can feel the steering is quick and it's responsive, but the suspension is so soft, it kind of just, you feel the entire body lean down. This vehicle also weighs almost 1,000 pounds more than the regular Outlander, and you kind of feel that weight. However, the extra weight has improved the ride quality. This is comfortable and somewhat floaty, actually, the ride quality, which is interesting. It's not particularly my favorite, but it's decent for road trips. The one thing that surprised me, however, I took this car on a 400-mile road trip to New York for the auto show. The massaging seats definitely were a nice surprise. They work well, better versus the usual massaging seats you find in some of the cheaper cars where the lumbar just inflates in and out. Mitsubishi offers several different modes. What was the biggest disappointment, however, for me on using it in hybrid mode on the road trip was the fuel efficiency. Now, I mentioned in EV mode, it gets really good EV range, which is, I think, the way that you're going to want to drive a vehicle like this. However, in hybrid mode, the best MPG that I got was about 23 miles to the gallon. This is with driving it on the highway. This is with it, cruising along at 75, 80 miles an hour. Not great efficiency. In fact, On a full tank, it was only doing around 320 to 350 miles. Mitsubishi says 420, but that's if you can get 26 mpg. So I think the gas engine delivers horrible mpg, which is a Mitsubishi sourced engine, so that's something that Mitsubishi needs to work on. When I had it in charge mode, there is a charge mode here within the modes to recharge the battery pack, which I did it in charge mode for about an hour and a half. It was doing around 18 miles to the gallon, so it reduced the mpg by 5 miles to the gallon. Now in contrast, if you don't, most of you don't do that. Charge mode is a very inefficient way of charging the battery. Plug it in if you actually want to charge up the battery pack. Something like the Toyota hybrids, the plug-in hybrids, will do about 10 mpg better. Even the Kia Sorento hybrid did around 8 mpg better. So if there's one criticism Mitsubishi needs to work on, is the fuel efficiency of the gas engine when you're in hybrid mode. This car could get much better range if Mitsubishi could improve the mpg. It's just unacceptable to me. The gas mileage is actually worse versus what you get in the non-hybrid when you're driving this thing as a hybrid vehicle when there's no electric-only range. But if you do have electric-only range, it's back in EV mode, which it's doing it now, which is nice. It goes 35 to 38 miles on a full charge. It feels quick enough in the real world, and it also gives you a lot of weird noises. You're going to save a lot of money at the pump by driving it in EV mode, but overall, I think the PHEV drives really interestingly. It's quick. I definitely like how quick it is. And if you use it more as an EV, you plug it in, it's going to give you the driving experience that you expect from even like an electric car, a fully electric car. So after spending a full week with the all-new Outlander plug-in hybrid, this is a vehicle that quite frankly surprised me. Just like the gas-only version, the plug-in hybrid is definitely a nice alternative to other offerings that have a little bit of a higher name. I mean, as you guys know, Mitsubishi is working on rebuilding their reputation here in America, and they're hoping that Nissan is going to be able to help them do that. Now, after spending some time with this vehicle, honestly, anybody who drives this car is going to be shockingly impressed, because as you guys saw, the performance of the hybrid system, the plug-in hybrid system, definitely improves that in the real world. 0 to 60 in 6.6 seconds is pretty quick, and the electric only part is where you're going to really notice it, because if you plug this vehicle in and drive it like an EV, you're going to be able to go around 35 to 38 miles realistically on a full charge, and it gives you decent acceleration around town. You guys saw a little over 11 seconds to 60, although the numbers don't always tell the full story because it has that instantaneous torque that you like with EV vehicles as soon as you put your foot down. The standard all-wheel drive system, which feels more rearward bias because of the extra power that you have on the back axle, also makes this a little bit more fun to drive. Although the suspension isn't really there in terms of stiffness, it does give you a better ride quality. The seats are pretty comfortable, although on my longer 4 hours that I spent in this car when I took it on a road trip to New York, I did notice that the seat bottom cushion left me squirming around and it was starting to hurt after that. So try the seats out for yourself, see if you like them. I like the fact that you have massaging seats, but I would actually rather just give up the massage for cooled seats. So I hope Mitsubishi eventually adds cooled seats to this car. The third row, as you guys saw, is useless for actually using for actual adults, but in a pinch, if you want to put children back there or you want to torture somebody back there who has long legs, you could put them back there, but it's nice to have that option in case you guys need it for an emergency usage. Really, in terms of gripes, I want Mitsubishi to put a faster charger in this vehicle, add the cool seats like I said, and of course, perhaps look into the production of this car, because the Outlander PHEV still continues to be built in Japan, which means, sadly, this does not qualify for the $7,500 federal tax credit. Now, if you guys are looking to purchase this vehicle, is it worth it still, even though it's not worth it or it doesn't qualify for the tax credit? Now, the regular Outlander gas model starts at around $27,800. It's about 12 grand more to go to the PHEV version. This starts at $39,900 for the base ES version. Now, most of you are going to spend the extra 3 grand to go to the SE trim that's going to give you the features that you're going to want in something like this. However, if you guys go up to the SEL, that's going to start around 45 grand. My tester with the premium package, which rolls in the semi-aniline leather, the panoramic roof, the massaging seats, the Bose stereo system. This model here with destination and the upcharge for the two-tone paint comes in at just over 50 grand, 50,800 to be exact, which is definitely pricey. It actually puts it at the same price category as a RAV4 Prime, which technically has more range, quicker acceleration, but it doesn't have a third row, albeit this one is a useless third row. There's also the Kia Sorento plug-in hybrid, which basically only comes well equipped and starts at $50,000 as well. That model gives you 32 miles of range, electric only range, but as a plug-in hybrid, it feels more like a hybrid and less like an electric vehicle. So that's kind of where Mitsubishi is. This is kind of straddling the differences here between the RAV4 Prime and the Kia Sorento hybrid. So if you do want something that's a little bit different, you're okay with the fact that the gas engine doesn't get great gas mileage and the third row is really only there for emergency usage, this car is certainly still worth a look. But again, it does not qualify for the federal tax credit unless Mitsubishi decides to move production of this car to the US or to North America. But with all that said, hope you guys have enjoyed my full overview on the brand new 2023 Mitsubishi Outlander PHEV. If you're also looking to see the latest cars I'm testing, be sure to follow me on Instagram at Redline_reviews, like us on Facebook, and as always guys, please keep subscribing to the Redline Reviews YouTube channel for all the latest reviews. Thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you all in the next video.